Welcome! This episode shows how I properly completed my patio's final framing construction, strictly in accordance with my architectural drawings, design, and county construction requirements. It's absolutely critical that you or your builder strictly follow my steps in this approach. Like my other 5 parts, this episode will clearly show you how to meet your county's permit requirements and enable you to pass your building inspections efficiently. Most importantly, it will show you how to build a great structure that will last indefinitely. This is my 5th episode in my 6-part series on patio construction. In this episode, we'll complete all the framing to elevate the patio to this condition. In this effort, I covered the frame beams with high-grade 3/4 inch plywood in preparation for applying a protective stucco layer over the beams later. Installed an artificial column that appears to support the left beam near the back of the house and mounted a decorative artificial column cover over it. I'll explain how my subcontractor roofed the patio. Next, I installed plywood on the front and rear of the 2 gable trusses and covered these trusses and the exposed beams with protective Tyvek sheeting to prevent potential water damage, mold, and mildew. Lastly, I cut and built the front gable arch. As a potential patio builder and owner, you have 5 viable options for completing this effort. You can use them individually or use them in combinations with the other options shown here. You can perform all the work yourself as the contractor. You have the option of subcontracting some of the tough construction tasks to the experts like I did. After studying parts 1 through 6 of my series, you can use this information for developing questions, to interview your potential contractors for your patio work, and show this series to your potential contractors to define your requirements. You can ask your contractor to review parts 1 through 6 and ask him or her to design and construct a variation that matches your home and meets your requirements. Lastly, you can use my 6 patio episodes for monitoring your contractor to keep him and his construction crew honest. I covered the frame beams with high-grade 3/4 inch plywood in preparation for applying a protective stucco layer over the beams to achieve this objective appearance. I prepared the beams for the stucco covering that required perfect distance alignment from the beam edges. All of these had to measure 1 1/2 inches from the edges of the column caps to the edges of the beams as shown here. I did this by framing around the beams with the 2x4s identified by red arrows. To ensure I achieved perfect alignment, I added shims between the 2x4s as necessary. Using my air-powered nail gun, I added this high-grade 3/4 inch plywood around the left beam. And finished the effort by applying the plywood covering to the center and right beams. Per the footing plan, I added this artificial non-load-bearing 4x4 column to support the left beam near the rear of the house. And mounted this decorative artificial column cover and upper and lower caps. As required, I cut these in half to cover the 4x4 column. Nonetheless, as shown, this gives the patio a clean, symmetric look with these 2 columns located near the rear of the house. As I mentioned in my Part 4 patio episode, the white decorative column covers and their caps are made of soft aluminum, so my table saw's blade with titanium teeth easily cut the column cover and its upper and lower bases in half. Applying with these standard Detail A excerpts, my roofing subcontractor installed my roofing felt, asphalt shingles, cricket flashing, and step flashing. Later, after I completed applying a protective stucco coat to all my plywood beams, his roofing team returned and installed my fascia, softening, gutters, downspouts, and drip edges. As I explained in my Part 4 patio episode, this was the second area that I subcontracted out. I subcontracted the roof to this company because I wanted to absolutely ensure that it would not incur any water leakage into my home's walls. I knew how to install step flashing in the roof and wall seams. However, I've known people who have encountered terrible mold and health problems with water seeping into their walls, so I hired a company that I trusted to do this right. He installed step flashing along this roof line to prevent water leakage into the upstairs walls. And installed flashing around the cricket. And I installed plywood on the front side of the small gable in this photo. We also mounted plywood on the front side of the large gable and continued covering with plywood on the inside of both the small and large gables. We covered all the patio's exposed plywood surfaces with protective Tyvek sheeting to protect them from the harsh environment and prevent potential water damage, mold, and mildew. This included the outside of both gables, and the inside of both gables. And we finished by covering the inside and outside of all exposed beams that I recently enclosed with high-grade 3/4 inch plywood. Per my architectural drawings, I then prepared the small gable arch for 3-inch thick semicircle arch installations on both the inside and outside of the arch as shown below. This shows how I built these 3-inch thick semicircles. I started with 2x10 pieces of pine that I purchased from Home Depot and glued and screwed 3/4 inch plywood on the front and back of these arches to be. I then pencil marked the semicircle outlines and cut them with my bandsaw as shown. I supported the heavy wooden semicircle pieces with this roller from my adjustable support stand. As you can see, I mounted the roller in my workmate vise. This roller facilitated smooth movements of the heavy wooden pieces through my bandsaw for perfect circular cuts on top and bottom of both semicircle arches for a total of 4 cuts. Believe it or not, this setup enabled me to perform all these cuts by myself without any problems. Prior to this, I had a table saw and a circular saw, but I did not have a bandsaw. I had a lot of experience with bandsaws in high school and Army wood shops, but I didn't have one of my own. Knowing that a bandsaw was going to be a power tool that I didn't use a lot, I purchased this saw at Harbor Freight for approximately $350, while similar saws would have cost between $500 to $1,000 at other well-known vendors. Much to my surprise, the Harbor Freight bandsaw has lasted through the years. It's still running strong. Aside from changing blades from time to time, I've never had a problem with it. I then mounted these semicircle arches inside and outside of the small gable to achieve the objective appearance below after I completed stuccoing these surfaces. This concludes the final framing of my patio. At this time, I'm moving on to part 6 of my patio series, showing how I finished the patio. You're more than welcome to follow. In addition, if you have a great project that you want to post on my YouTube channel, email me some pictures and a brief description of it. If it qualifies for the Let's Fix It Right standards to help others, I'll interview you over the phone as a guest do-it-yourselfer, produce a high-quality video, and post it on my Let's Fix It Right channel. For the year following this posting, I'll share 50% of the potential YouTube benefits with you. If you have any subject matter requests or recommendations, please contact me. All of this said, I recommend that you subscribe to my channel, follow my projects, and save a bundle of money doing it.